Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another Upfront broadcast. My name is Jeff Freitas, and I'm the president of CFT. I'm pleased to join you this week to share a few important updates. Today, I'm going to talk about the new document that education labor groups released. I will also talk about vaccinations in general and reopening or having in-person instruction. I will then talk about the latest American Rescue Act that the Biden administration has moved forward. And finally, I will close it out with the Black Lives Matter at School Week week of action. First, on Wednesday this week, CFT joined California's statewide education unions, AFSCME, CSEA, CTA, and SEIU, to release a plan for in-person education that focuses on multi-layered mitigation strategies that calls for vaccines to be offered to all educators and school workers who are asked to work in person. Our priority is to return to schools safely. And so we have worked and will continue to work with our partners to come up with the real solutions that will allow us to do just that. Our plan is called Classroom Learning and Safe Schools for Employees and Students, or CLASSES. I know, it's very cute. You can find that on our website. You can go to our website and check that out. It has been sent to legislators and the governor's office as they work on statewide policy on in-person education. There are three essential elements to this plan. First, community spread of COVID-19 has to be under control before bringing students and staff back for in-person education. Second, following the guidance from the CDC and the California Department of Public Health, multi-layered mitigation strategies must be put in place, including statewide support for testing on our school sites, contract tracing, proper PPE, social distancing, or what I will also refer to as de-densifying our student populations and school populations, and proper ventilation. And finally, the state of California must prioritize the vaccination of school workers who are asked to return to work in person. Vaccinations should start with those who are already working in person. Many are. And then move to those who are first asked to return. I'm going to come back to this in a few minutes. With this plan that we are proposing, we're actively supporting our local unions to engage with their districts and local public health departments to begin vaccinations and to implement all of the safety measures that are required and preferred by the CDC. Also, when in-person education is an option for families, we must also when in-person education is not an option for families, we must also support those students who wish to remain in distance learning throughout the pandemic. This really is an issue of equity because low-income families, Black and brown families, families with no or limited health care have disproportionately been suffering from COVID-19 and the pandemic. But let me return to the rollout of the vaccines and how to connect it to in-person education goals. On December 14th, the governor announced that California had received its first batch of vaccines. They knew that the potential of this rollout since October, but it became more of a reality as we got closer to mid-December as the vaccines were being approved for emergency use. Our position that we believe the safest way to have in-person instruction is to provide vaccines to the school workers that need to be on campus. And to protect the students and families of those on campus, PPE, proper ventilation, social distancing, and testing must still be a part of the school system until we can eliminate the COVID-19 from our communities. At the same time, we also believe that the medical field and elderly, especially those in facilities and homes, should absolutely be prioritized for the vaccine, as well as other essential workers. So instead of debating with the politicians like those in San Francisco and LA and Sacramento, let's see what we can actually achieve working together. I'm a math teacher, so let's talk numbers. Today is February 5th. about a month and a half after the first doses of vaccines have entered the state. To date, there have been roughly 6.8 million doses delivered to the state of California, with over 200,000 in transit as we speak. During the same period of time, there have been roughly 4.2 million doses doled out. That's a lot of doses of vaccinations throughout the state of California. That's also about 2.6 million doses still sitting in freezers somewhere in the state and that have not been injected into any arms. 2.6 million. Thousands of doses are administered every day, and thousands of new doses are arriving in California daily. All of this information, all the numbers I just gave you, are on California's COVID vaccine dashboard. You can search that, and it should take you there. We know that these versions of the vaccines that are in California, they take 2 doses, and those 2 doses have to be spread out over 3 to 4 weeks. 3 to 4 week separation between the doses before they can get their second shot. So with that focus, how many have been in California? How many doses are available? And how many have already been given out? Let's talk about connecting this with education workers. There are roughly 600,000 K-12 educators and classified professionals in the state. That's teachers, counselors, bus drivers, custodians, secretaries, and the titles go on. Theoretically, every school worker could get a shot today. There are enough doses in the state. As I said, 2.4 million doses are available in the state of California, 600,000 K-12 school workers. In fact, it's possible, if it were possible, we could give both doses, but we don't do that. We actually have to wait 3 to 4 weeks. But my point is, there's a lot of doses in California. I am not forgetting that this is a big state, and our highest priority are medical professionals and the elderly, and there are other essential workers. But my question is, why haven't we tried to focus on prioritizing vaccines for educators along the same lines as prioritizing them returning to in-person instruction? Everyone agrees that the highest need for in-person education are our youngest students. So let me take that as an example. We could start with those who work with kindergartners to get our 5 and 6-year-olds back into the classroom. To vaccinate the kindergarten teachers and classified staff that also need to be on campus, that would roughly be about 1/13, 1 out of 13. There's 13 grade levels, K through 12. 1 out of 13 of the total 600,000 education worker population. That comes to about 47,000 school employees, which means 47,000 doses that would be needed for the first round, and then another 47,000 about a month later. All for kindergartners to be workers, teachers as well as classified to be fully vaccinated, providing the safest environment for in-person education during this pandemic. Now, kindergarten is a start. There are other priorities, such as special education and those who serve low-income students. And we can prioritize that. But sticking to this example, let me remind you, today there are 2.6 million doses on the shelves waiting to be administered. To apply their first dose of vaccines to open up kindergarten, you would only need 47,000 of those 2.6 million doses. But the problem is that there is a lack of clarity to do this. This is completely doable to provide the safest environment and bring back in person the youngest and most vulnerable students. And that was just an example to give you the numbers. And many people are talking about phasing this in, phase in other populations and students and staff, while we have an opportunity for everyone to get back. Unfortunately, our demands for safety are seen as roadblocks instead of opportunities. We need to work together to accomplish this, not file lawsuits. We need cooperation, we need trust, and we need understanding. So now I'm going to turn away from vaccines and turn towards our national efforts. I want to share some updates about actions for COVID relief that are taking place at the national level, and ask for you AFT members to take action to make sure this important work gets done. Since taking office on January 21st, the Biden administration has prioritized passing immediate COVID-19 relief funding for states and cities, small businesses, and families. The CFT and the AFT support their efforts to pass a comprehensive American Rescue Act, which is a $1.9 trillion relief package that will provide crisis funding for vaccine production and distribution, bring relief to small businesses and essential services, and provide the resources that schools and colleges need to provide safe learning environments and prepare to open safely for in-person instruction. You can join the efforts to help pass the American Rescue Act by calling and or writing California Senators Dianne Feinstein and our brand new California Senator Alex Padilla, and by sharing information and graphics about why this funding is so critical at this moment in the COVID-19 recovery. Head over to AFT's dedicated American Rescue Act resource page to take action. We'll have that link also down below. Finally, I want to share that this week is Black Lives Matter at School Week of Action. Let me restate that. This week is Black Lives Matter at School Week of Action. Our national affiliate, the AFT, marked the week by passing a resolution supporting and making this week an annual celebration and calling for racial justice in our schools. That was passed at the Executive Council, which I was present and voted for. The resolution declares that the union will continue to press districts to hire more Black teachers, implement restorative practices, and end zero-tolerance discipline, teach Black history and other ethnic studies, and fund more counselors as opposed to police officers in our schools. In California, Assemblymember Reggie Jones Sawyer introduced a resolution to recognize Black Lives Matter at School Week of Action that passed the Assembly floor on yesterday, February 4th. About the resolution, Assemblymember Jones Sawyer stated, and I quote, "The Black Lives Matter at School Week of Action sets aside time to uplift the experience of the Black community and affirm individuals' self-worth and right to be treated with respect. This monumental week highlights the Black community's achievements and contributions to the American experience while continuing the fight towards racial equity and social justice and equality in education and economics," unquote. Also, in this on this issue, AFT has been working with our sister union in New York, known as NYSUT, on a series of webinars called Many Threads, One Fabric. This is a series of virtual conversations with notable anti-racist leaders like Ibram Kendi and Peggy McIntosh. The latest webinar was this week with a virtual conversation on embracing racial and cultural diversity with author Juana Bardis. She's the recipient of the International Leadership Association's Lifetime Achievement Award. I encourage you to visit and watch this series of individual webinars, which you can find on the link, again, posted below of this post. We fully support the work being undertaken by our state legislators, our national and our state affiliates, and the work that our locals are doing to ensure that the call for racial justice is not just a talking point, but that we are putting our words to action and making our schools more just and equitable spaces for Black students, staff, and teachers. And just to note, next time I will work on my enunciation as I go through this update broadcast. With that, I want to end this broadcast and thank all of you for the incredible work you are doing to continue to provide quality education in this challenging moment. Your work is noticed and recognized as always. We have your back, and I am thankful that we are all part of this union, and in this together, because together we are stronger, and together we can accomplish a safe and great education system. So thank you for joining us today, and have a great and safe weekend. Good night.